You gotta just chill out, man.
Steeler fans, welcome back to another episode of the Scho Bro Show. This is Steel Curtain Network editor Dave Schofield coming at you. It's Tuesday night. It's 10 after 9. But hey, where else would you rather be as a Steelers fan? And with me, as always, except when he's not, is my big brother Rich, Big Bro Scho. How are you doing on this warm Tuesday evening?
I'm going to tell you, we didn't talk long before the show, but I've been better.
You've been better? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to start the show off on a big downer.
Aw.
No, this is a big downer.
Uh-oh.
Yep. Lost a very close friend of mine over the weekend.
Oh, I did not know about that.
Yep. Former coworker when I was at William and Mary, and very, very close friend. Rodney Franks passed away on Saturday, unexpectedly.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that, buddy.
Yep. So it's been a rough couple days here. So, he was only 41 years old.
Oh, my goodness. See, and that's like the news of Larry Allen. He's only 52.
Yes. I know.
That's how. I'm sorry. That guy's an all-time great offensive lineman, even though he played for a team that we don't like. But I don't like seeing those numbers, man. That's younger than me.
Yeah. Well, you're pretty old, but
yeah, that's true too. But yeah. So sorry to start on such a downer. I didn't realize. Hey, this is our family show, so this is
so if I'm a little off here or there, nice, because I've been a little off for a couple days because that one kind of threw me for a loop.
Yeah, so, that's sometimes it's just. You didn't even tip me off at all.
I did not.
If you needed a night off or anything, and
no, because honestly, I want to be here and talk about Steelers. Because
you'd rather. I know what you mean. Sometimes it's just. And you know what?
I'd rather be here with my Steeler fam than just sitting around thinking about it.
I know what you mean, and we've heard this so many times from people in the live chat or people that have reached out to us in various different shows or whatnot that we have here at Steel Curtain Network. I know Jeff Hartman will sometimes get on with Let's Ride with the Ride or Die crew and various people. They reach out and say, you know what? I'm so glad that you guys continue to bring the content in the off season. Man, I've had a really rough time with, loss of a loved one or a family member or
things at work or stuff
like work, other things that, bad health reports, things of that nature. And they're like, I'm just glad that the content's still coming. So there for a while, we can just escape and talk about the Steelers. So, hey, Big Bro, I hope tonight can be a bit of an escape for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's funny because I'm in a whole different situation. I'm kind of a little bit leery because as of yesterday, I now have 2 teenagers in my house because my older son turned 13 yesterday. So to go along with my 15, almost 16-year-old daughter, we'll see how that dynamic works this summer. That's on the other end of the spectrum from things you're dealing with. So
on the brighter side of things, I no longer have any children in high school.
Yeah, because
Kyle had his graduation this weekend.
Yep.
And actually, since our last thing, he's gotten a couple of scholarships for school, so he is sitting pretty for stuff here for college next year. He was into the college today and got scheduled for classes and things like that. So, although I got some things that have got me pretty down, I got some other things going on that feel pretty good about. So it's never just one or the other. So it's hashtag Pay Kyle. That's right.
Still like 88 says hashtag Pay Kyle, and I am wearing the hashtag Pay Kyle shirt tonight. So hey, let's talk some Steelers then.
Let's bring it.
because this was the week where the Steelers had an extra day of OTAs. Okay, now doesn't mean they're on the field because they do 3 the first week, 3 the second week, 4 the third week, and then you have mandatory minicamp. So before we get into the big news of today on Tuesday, yesterday was technically day 7. Although some people say, "Oh, it's day 7 of OTAs today." No, yesterday was day 7.
Yep.
And typically, I remember watching the commercials growing up on WTAE. You would see the commercials for Kennywood Park, and what would it say at the very end on the bottom? Closed Mondays. Remember that?
Yep.
Kennywood was
Closed Mondays.
Well, I mean, I assume that it was closed, and the Pittsburgh Steelers were there for just them, because I couldn't imagine them being there with other people in the park.
No.
But that was the team building exercise that they try to do each year during OTAs. Is that the Steelers were at Kennywood yesterday. Good for them. Saw some interesting pictures. When you saw it with the one was Zach Frazier right in front of Justin Fields on the roller coaster, and then right behind him Mason McCormick, and just how all those things are going. Anything you want to say about that before we hit today?
No, just I thought, just would be fun to be in Kennywood. Just 90 people. Well,
yeah, that would be
sure,
that would be pretty nifty.
Still.
Except I'm pretty sure they shut down the Steel Curtain Ride roller coaster for the year because they're having too many issues with it.
Yeah,
and they're doing an overhaul with it.
Yes, it's been closed down all spring, I believe. So
yeah.
All right.
See, that's exactly what Kathy was saying. She's like, hope to get to Kennywood next trip, but the Steelers coaster has to be open. So yeah. Now this was a good question to segue into today because Brian Nisbel wants to know, was Cam at Kennywood? I don't know if Cam was at Kennywood, but Cam Hayward returned to OTAs today, Tuesday. That was the big news. So almost everything in my article that's the recap / tracker / keeping track of everything where Steelers fans can go check that out. I even did it yesterday for Kennywood. There was only like 5 or 6 tweets, but trying to still have the information there. But for today, almost every post was stuff about Cam Hayward. He spoke to the media. There was a lot of stuff. I did not get to catch all of his time with the media yet, but that's something that's on my to-do list after the show tonight. But does that really surprise you that Cam was back?
Not really.
You know what surprised me about Cam being back?
What?
Being in his helmet and in his jersey and out there participating. Because I honestly thought that he still might have needed more time to recover from his surgery. But I don't know how much he did. He was at least out there doing something with his helmet. So that's the more surprising thing for me. I thought he might show up and be in sweats and be there as a leader and a team captain, but still might not be up to participating.
Well,
I thought that was more
no. Don't you know what it was? So he was out there trying to get those young offensive linemen that the Steelers have now prepared. He went out and was playing the role of Myles Garrett and was just swinging his helmet around and quarterbacks and trying to see if the offensive lineman could protect them.
Yeah, you could block a swinging helmet. You could block anything. Right?
There you go. Right.
So, but no, that was good news that Cam's back and he's saying now it's not like there's a deal imminent. Some people right away before everything thought, oh, that must mean the deal's going to be announced. Cam said, not yet. But and if you're wondering, last week, Stat Geek, I laid out how it would work with some various numbers with everything. I did that as an article at steelcurtainnetwork.com where I had the numbers posted, for you to see it, because I know sometimes with podcast form it's tough when you have to hear it and you need to visualize things. But I had that was out. Actually, that article was yesterday at steelcurtainnetwork.com. Where I laid out some various scenarios. Bottom line is, people are like, oh, is he going to take a pay? No, he's not. Cam's not due $22 million this year. That's his cap. He's due 16. The rest of that's dead money. There's nothing, you can't move that anywhere else. That's why the salary cap's not a myth, because there's that $6 million or something. You can't do anything but have that due this year. So it is what it is. Eventually, the money will all count. But, man, you can do an awful lot to move it around until you just run out of options. So there's that much. So if you want to know more about that, you can listen to last week's Stat Geek or check out the article. But it was nice to see Cam being back and being with the team. I didn't catch any other reports of anybody missing. I don't know that TJ's back from his I don't know, gallivanting around Europe, wherever he is now for his vacation. I know George Pickens was out last week. But even if those guys aren't here this week, the bigger thing is that they're there next week. Because some NFL teams already have their mandatory mini camps going on. They have guys not reporting, which means fines. You know, some of the wide receivers, like in Dallas and San Francisco, have players that aren't at mandatory minicamp. So, but that's what's going on with the Steelers. I know they made another. It was announced by one of the NFL insiders that they made another roster move. I know one of the young corners I talked about, Luke Barku, was waived/injured. He cleared waivers, so he's back on the Steelers injured reserve. It's interesting to see if they'll come to an agreement where he could go somewhere else, or if he's going to stay on IR for the year. We'll just have to wait and see about that. So, anything else you want to say about Steelers before we get into our fun topic tonight, as we're busting into our top 5 lists that we like to do this time of year?
Let's go topic. So
okay, let's go topic. So in order to do topic, we're going to take a nice quick break so we don't have to do it in the middle of our countdowns like we did in the past. And so you're going to hear some music. If you're with us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter /X, we're not going anywhere. If you're with us here on the audio, we'll be right back after these messages.
Relax, don't worry, no rush, what's the hurry? Relax, don't worry, don't worry, relax. Relax, don't worry, no rush, what's the hurry? Relax, don't worry, don't worry, relax.
All right, here we are. We are back, and we are ready to get into this one, Rich. All right, so this time of year is when we like to get into some of our top 5 lists, the various things we do. I know right before training camp, we'll get to our top 5 possible camp darlings. I still can't get over, and you'll hear me talk about this a number of times when we do these, how you called Jaylen Warren that year. You did a nice job with that one.
Just had seen enough in OTAs and minicamp to just say just something that I said I like something about this guy, so I just said it would be him. So yeah. So I mean, it was taking a shot. You know, I'm still impressed by that one, but you weren't the only one on our network that also was high on him even before training camp started. I think Shannon might have also as well. But yes. I was thinking that the running back that they paid a higher signing bonus was going to be that, and nope, did not work out that way. But here's what we're doing tonight. We're looking at 5 potential breakout stars for the Steelers in 2024. Now, what do we mean by breakout stars? The Steelers have stars. Like, honestly, could you put somebody like TJ Watt on this list? Only if you think he's going to become even more of this is going to be more of a breakout year than he's done so far in his NFL career, which you could feel that way. And he could very well be on your list, which means he's breaking out even more than what he was. We're comparing players to what they've been. So that's what we're kind of looking, who's going to have a breakout year, not just a break, but I don't want a breakout year from someone who was just a guy on special teams that is now one of their better guys on special teams. I'm talking about enough of a breakout that you're going to get people around the NFL paying attention as well. That's the way I looked at it. Did you look at it that way, Rich? Yes, that's kind of how I went after it. Somebody is a significant jump in statistics in particular.
And I've got people throwing names out there already. I will let you know. I think you guys might know what the final question is going to be tonight. So we're going to hear what we have to say and what order, and you put them in order, right?
Yep.
We'll be counting them down. I'll have to write down. I'll try to make sure I'm talking into the microphone as I try to write down Rich's, because, I'll have to turn this into an article so you guys can see it on the website. That'll probably be out in the next couple of days. But, Rich, you ready to get us started?
Yes, I am.
Who's your number 5? And kind of explain why you put him in that spot.
Okay. My number 5 for potential breakout season is Calvin Austin III.
Right.
I have him in this list at number 5 because, of course, 2 years ago he was injured on IR for the year. Last year was really his first year, but he, I don't think we utilized him and his speed in the ways that we needed to. I see him getting a better chance this year to showcase what he has.
I completely agree. Yeah, go ahead. If you got more.
Nope. That's no. I can pause for now.
Okay. Well, yeah, I have. We can talk more about him a little bit later. We'll mention it, but no, I actually want to talk about him now. And that the biggest thing with him is you're right. A lot of times, you're like, oh, who's going to take a jump in their second year? Well, the thing is, this is kind of Austin's second year.
Yes.
But he also has the advantage of in his first year, he had a whole year of getting acclimated with the team and how the process and everything went, being in the meetings and all that other stuff to really help him. He was more than just a first year player last year.
Correct.
So to me, it's like this will be year 2+.
Yes. So I think he is primed to become a much bigger contributor than he was last year.
I agree. I think when it comes to Calvin Austin III, and this is why there's a good spot for you to put him here at number 5. And like I said, I'll talk about him maybe a little bit more later. Is that the reason I think it's good there is because he has the potential, or he could be a complete afterthought.
Yeah,
it's gonna. I have a feeling it's going to be kind of an all or nothing for him. I think he's going to. I'd really be surprised if he just has another meh year. I think it would be more like he's not being. He's really something.
Yeah, if he doesn't get much of a breakout this year, then the talk starts. What do you go ahead and just cut ties and move on?
Yeah,
and I hope that's not the case because I think he's got a skill set that the Steelers could utilize if they can get it utilized in the correct way.
I think there's a much better, like Afton says, the dreaded P word. There's a much better potential, or I'll even say possibility, of him being involved better this year based on everything else. Because here's something else interesting about him. I'm just going to go ahead and talk about him now, so that way when I bring him up on my list, we'll just say, and we talked about him. Last year, when did he get the majority of his playing time?
When Deontay Johnson was out.
So you're talking, other than being familiar with the team and not having to worry about holding him out for that quote unquote rookie wall like they sometimes will do with players their rookie season, he was getting his playing time very early in his games played as a professional.
Yes.
That would be like a player getting thrown into it in week 2, their rookie season. But like I said, it's a little bit slightly different because he had that time while he was injured. So he's coming off the injury. He's not been in NFL games, and then he's thrust into that a little bit more. And I thought he was doing fine. I was kind of surprised how much they pulled him back when Deontay Johnson came back. I thought they would still continue to look at him, target him more. He did have a touchdown in the playoffs. I thought that they would maybe use him more last year because of that. And it just didn't seem to go that way.
Yep. So,
yeah.
All right.
So that's a good one. My number 5 is a player that I think has it's kind of like Calvin Austin III. I think there's a potential for this player to break out if the Steelers choose to utilize him in that manner. And that would be one Mr. Washington, Mount Washington himself, Darnell Washington, as the Steelers' other tight end, as their blocking tight end. But can you have him in there as your blocking tight end and give him more than, what do you have, 10 or 12 targets all season last year?
Yeah,
I mean,
12.
even if it's only, average 2.5 a game, that's still, I mean, 3 a game would be 50 targets. 51 actually. So something like that, I think, wouldn't even have to be a lot more. But I think if they start to utilize him, because I mean, he's just a physical specimen, I think it just creates a very interesting matchup conundrum. If the Steelers feel that he's ready to utilize him in that manner, or if they're just going to delegate him to blocking. So that's why he was the last name on my list. Because I'm like, if they did that, if they do it the right way, he could break out. Or they might not feel that that's the way that's best for him to use him. And that's what makes that a mystery in number 5 for me.
Okay.
Anything you want to say about that now? Or
Yeah, I will actually talk about that now, because I will say he did not make my list.
Oh, really?
He did not. He was in consideration for the list, but I decided to go elsewhere.
Okay.
Part of it was just that worry of, could we get the targets up? Because that's, I think, what it's going to take for him to have that breakout season. Is that those targets are going to have, those targets are going to have to come up, and I'll talk more about that part later.
Okay. That's fine. That's good, because and that's the other thing, because you're looking at some of these and you're like, where the target's going and everything else. So, all right. So why don't you hit us up with number 4?
All right, number 4. Number 4, I went with Joey Porter Jr.
Oh, really?
I did. This is why, because we got to see him for a portion of the year last year. This year we're going to get to see him from game 1 going out there. And actually, the thing that I think is going to make Joey Porter Jr.'s second season more of a breakout is, I think we see an increase in INTs.
Okay.
I think
you just had the one last year, right?
Yeah, I think it was just the one. And honestly, I'm not going to be surprised. I'm not going to be surprised if Joey Porter Jr. Picks one and takes it to the house. So, I think we're going to just see his game come up a notch.
Okay.
And so that's why I went with him at number 4. And honestly, it came down to him or Washington, and I decided to make a case for JPJ, partly because he's going to get a lot of opportunity to up his game.
I gotcha. That's interesting that you say that, because I considered him too with Washington, and I left him off my list. Joey Porter Jr. Here's why. Because I thought he was really, really good last year. So much so he was in consideration, a finalist for Defensive Rookie of the Year. So to me, when he's already there, I almost feel like he's kind of broken out unless he really goes next level. And the other thing that I'm worried about, you're saying he's going to get the opportunity. I wonder if they're going to avoid him. I wonder if they're going to try to avoid him. So that's why, but that was one reason I said, maybe if I'm leaving someone off, that would be why. But the other reason is I would be 100% fine if Joey Porter Jr. cashes in the same season next year that he had last year. I'd be fine with that. If he didn't, maybe a little bit of improvement, but he doesn't have to completely bust out for me, because I already think the NFL knows about him and noticed what he was doing, and that he was following the best receiver around in the second half of the season for the Steelers last year. So that's why I left him off, just because he's starting at a higher level, in my opinion, than just about everyone else on this list.
Right, but let me bring another piece to this up, because the other thing is we're going to hear from Joey Porter Jr.
Yeah.
He's going to talk with the media. You're going to hear, and you're going to get clips, and you're going to get sound bites. And do you remember who else used to do those kind of clips and sound bites for the Steelers, that would be Joey Porter Sr.,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And teams used to not like it and then try to show up Joey Porter Sr. And it usually didn't turn out very well.
Didn't always turn out very good for him.
So I'm wondering if you're not going to get some of that same thing with Joey Porter Jr. We'll see. We'll see. But
that's why guys are towards the bottom of the list.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
All right. Well, I'll tell you my number 4, and then we can move on. My number 4 was Calvin Austin III. I went ahead and said everything where I did there. I had him just ahead of Washington because those were the two guys I'm like, you're either going to choose to utilize them more or they're not. And that's why I went. And it was basically a coin flip for who was in which spot for those two for me. And I could have gone only one of them and thrown in somebody like Joey Porter Jr., but I didn't because there's a lot of offense on my list. I just have to say that. So, all right, you ready to roll? You ready to keep going?
Yes.
What's your number 3?
I am. My number 3 is where I jump and go a little different. Here's one that I can probably almost guarantee you is not on your list.
All right, I'm ready to hear this.
Okay. I am going with Jeremiah Moon.
That's a good one.
He, with the Ravens last year, showed flashes of having a lot of that P word, a lot of potential, and say, hey, almost a point where like, man, they got to find a way to get that guy more snaps. And then they tried to waive him and get him to the practice squad, and the Steelers gobbled him up.
Said, nope.
Now, this is a guy that I have a feeling is he going to get a ton of playing time this year? A ton? Hopefully not, because if he's going
to make the roster.
I know, but
because that's not a guarantee.
Not a guarantee. But I'll tell you what. In going back and looking at some of his play with the Ravens, I am like, this guy could end up being something.
And he doesn't have to be anything great. He can, he's going to be in a reserve rotation role.
Right. No, but this is why I say it could be a breakout year, because if he is in that reserve rotation role and he is seeing snaps, he could be playing to the point where the Steelers are able to then say, okay, we can let other things happen because we've got this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he would potentially see an increase in play the following year. It's
he's going to be a roster. And you're right, because honestly, if he makes the team, it's on the 53, and he's getting some snaps on defense and doing his special teams thing, that's a huge leap. Because Steelers fans, a lot of them don't even remember there'll be a lot of Steelers fans, and they're probably not ones that are listening right now, because they're ones that kind of let things finish out. They come back when the season starts or even in the preseason, that all of a sudden they'll be like, where'd he come from? Oh, they picked him up after their season was done and they made a waiver claim. And they're going to try to remember what happened. That could even be some people that are even here now. That he didn't join the Steelers with any kind of fanfare, and yet he might be an important. And he's good reports about him out of OTA so far. So that's the key.
He's my one that would I have liked to been a little further and maybe even into training camp before making this list and put him on there. Yes, but I'm willing to take a flyer on that one a little bit right now.
Yeah.
So,
and Steel Dog Idiot says, is he outside or inside? He's outside. He's an outside linebacker. So, that's interesting. That's a good one. So I need to say he was not on my list. Okay.
Yes.
For my number 3, I went with a player that some people might have thought last year could have been a breakout season for this player. But I put him on here now for another reason. I went with Jaylen Warren.
Okay.
Because I think what you're going to see with Jaylen Warren this year, as much as anything, is a huge increase in receptions. I think he's going to be utilized out of the backfield in the passing game more than he was last year. And last year, he was utilized a lot. He really was. I'm trying to actually figure it out here and remember what, or quote unquote, look it up. How many? Because I was thinking he was really up there when it came to the Steelers and their number of receptions that he was there. I'm trying to find it right now. Last year, Jaylen Warren, he was second in receptions, only 2 behind George Pickens. But I just feel like it could even be even more the combination with him this year. And maybe the Steelers are going to showcase him a little bit more and Najee a little bit less with everything going on. I think he's a player on the rise, and that's why people started to know who he was last year a lot. I still don't know that he's going to come in and be the number one over Najee. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I think people that may not have heard of him before will hear of him now.
And
as like Sherry says, Russ does like his checkdowns.
I considered Warren for my list, but he ended up just further down, and I just could not come up with a reason to put him in the top 5.
Yeah, because I just think
I totally understood your thinking on that, all the way to, the receiving back kind of stuff, because I even was thinking along those lines. But
not to tip it off, I just think the running backs are going to see a lot more prestige in this offense.
Okay.
And I wanted to put one on the list, and I didn't put both. So I will tell you the other one's not on my list.
Okay.
So because I just think that Jaylen Warren could even come on even more.
Understand.
Yeah. So
understand.
If there's anything more you want to say about him, or you can go to your number 2.
No, I think I'll go ahead and go to my number 2.
All right.
Take that back. I'm going to jump back and say one thing. I think you continue to see. I just have a feeling under Arthur Smith's offense, you're going to see much closer to not saying exactly, but much closer to a 50-50 split with the running backs than we have in the past. So,
and even potentially on the field at the same time.
Yes.
I mean, they were a little bit last year, but I think it could be done better. Yeah.
Yes. So, okay.
Yep.
Now I'll go on to my number 2.
All right. Your number 2.
My number 2. I've put the number 2 person on my list totally because I expect them to see a large increase in snap count.
Okay.
And I went with Keanu Benton.
Oh, okay. That's a good one.
I felt there were times last year when he was in the games where he, even though he wasn't getting the stats, he was causing a lot of disruption. I have a feeling he's going to get this. He's going to see the field more this year in snap count, and I think that some of that disruption will turn into an increase in snaps, especially because he's going to see potentially more time on the field with Cameron Hayward and not necessarily instead of Cameron Hayward.
Yes, because, he did get more playing time when Kane was out injured.
Yes.
I see him. I'm not making a player comparison. I'm merely talking about role and usage. I see him as how the Steelers deployed Javon Hargrave. When we're in base, you're the nose. When we're in sub package, you're still out there as a defensive tackle.
Yep.
And not just strictly a nose, and then you're off the field when there's no nose.
Correct. Which to me then ups his snap count.
Yes, exactly.
And because of that, I really, you are going to notice him on the field a lot more.
Yes, and I said it before. I've said it on other shows, so I'll go ahead and repeat myself and say it again here. He had a great year last year. I felt that he was the Steelers' best defensive lineman last year. He didn't get a lot of stats, and that's okay because remember, stats aren't always the driving force behind great defensive linemen. Did Aaron Smith really get that great of stats constantly? No, he was he was dominant though. Dominant. So to me, with Benton, I felt he was really good last year already. I think he's just going to get some of those numbers to go along with it to where he'll be recognized outside of Steelers Nation. So I can get behind this one wholeheartedly.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
I'm going to roll to my number 2.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
For my number 2, I'm going back to a familiar position. I'm going back to what? No, I'm not going back to wide receiver. I'm going back to tight end. I've got Pat Freiermuth on here because I keep saying that I think he is a great tight end for the Steelers. I'm just waiting for them to use him and for him to bust out. I thought it was going to be 2 years ago. It wasn't. I thought it was going to be last year. It wasn't. And like I said, when he was injured and went out for a while, and fans were on our shows and in the live chat, the preview, talking about, oh, yeah, Muth is back this week. Yeah, we'll really get to see him. I'm like, they haven't used him all year, even when he was here. Just when he comes back doesn't mean that they're going to use him. And then they kick Matt Canada to the curb. The very next game, boom, career day. Now, the next time they played the Bungles had a complete game plan that they weren't going to let Freiermuth kill him. And you know what the Steelers said? Fine, we'll kill you other ways.
Yeah.
And that's what they did. But, I mean, man, that game he had, that first game against the Bengals where the Steelers actually used tight end. Remember, I can't remember if it was on our show or if it was on the preview where I called it. I said, you want to see something? You want to see the non-Matt Canada offense? The Steelers' very first play, they should line up in an obvious run formation, okay, under center, turn around, and fake the handoff, play action, and hit Freiermuth over the middle. Now, I don't know if they can't remember if they lined up under center and did play action, but that's actually what they did on their first play. It was an over the middle pass to Pat Freiermuth for a nice game. So I think because I think he's on the cusp of everything, and I don't know that the Steelers are going to extend him before the season starts. If they do, great. And if they don't, then you're talking about a contract year. I just think they'll actually use the tight ends so much so that I think there's going to be enough for all these guys, more so than even the wide receivers, even though I put Calvin Austin on the list as well. But I would really like to see Pat Freiermuth break out this year and be one of the top tight ends in the NFL.
Yes. After his first year, I thought, hey, this is a guy that's going to be able to go up and challenge for that title of top tight ends in the league with Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce and the likes. But after the retirement of Benjamin Todd Roethlisberger, that has not been the case.
No.
Part of which I think just goes to show how things changed offensively when Ben retired, and how inept the offensive coordinator was.
Yeah.
I really think that Muth has the chance to go back to being utilized as a receiver. And I could really see an Arthur Smith's offense, which likes to run a lot of two tight ends, right? I see a lot of I see a lot of formations with both Muth and Washington on the field, and Muth lined up in the spot in the slot.
That would be good. Make them go bigger.
And utilize that way. Mm-hmm.
Make them go bigger, and then try to burn them. And then if the defense doesn't go bigger because they're worried about the pass, then you pull it in tight and you run it down the throat.
Tight, yeah, exactly. So, I very much would agree with you that I could really see Muth breaking out. And when I mean breaking out, I mean, I could see him with a 1,000-yard season.
I don't know. I don't think they've ever had that with a tight end. No, I think they maybe. I don't know if they've ever had that with a tight end. I don't know.
I don't know, but
I don't think they have. I'll look back at it. I don't think so.
But I could see him pushing that 1,000-yard threshold,
Especially with 17 games, if he's healthy. Yeah.
Correct. If he's healthy, 17 games in Arthur Smith's offense, he could have the chance to push that threshold, which would be huge for the Steelers.
Yeah.
So
should I ask you who your number one is?
my number one would be Pat Fryermuth.
I had a feeling that was your number one. Hey, guess who my number one is?
Who's your number one?
Keanu Benton.
I figured as much.
Because I really think that he's going to make a name for himself around the league this year. And I think, and I was really torn to who I was going to go with, one or two of Fryermuth or Benton. So
I just think it's a big. I went with Muth one just because I think it's going to be a bigger deal for him. Like I think almost to exactly what I said in this. I think we know what Keanu Benton is. I think the big jump for him is going to be that increase in snaps. Muth, what I think we're going to see is him finally being utilized the way a tight end with his abilities should be being utilized.
Yeah. Yep.
To which, to me, then ends up being the bigger breakout. Although it will have Steelers fans pulling their hair out saying, why haven't we been using this guy this way all along?
Yeah. And hey, I will tell you, unless I missed one, I don't think I did. The most receiving yards by a Steelers tight end in a season was in 1993 when Eric Green had 942.
I was going to say I knew it was in the 900s.
So there you go. Just to tie up that loose end. So yeah, I mean, you had some players on the list. And I'm like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I mean, I just felt running back needed to be represented on the list somewhere because I think you're going to see more out of your running backs this year. And I think you're going to see more out of the tight ends. And I think that's why the Steelers aren't overly concerned. Maybe it's not that they're not making inquiries. I know some people are like, oh, they can't do this. I'm so sick and tired of the Mark Maddens of this world saying the Steelers are trying to play 70s ball and win in 2024. Just because you want to run the ball well and just because you want to have a good defense doesn't mean it's 70s ball. Because 70s ball is you only throw it if you have to. And that's not what the Steelers are going to do. They're going to use those other things to be more efficient in their passing game. That's just my opinion. So,
yeah, there's a difference between just wanting to run the football, which is 70s football, and what you see a lot nowadays, which is running the football effectively so that you can use play action and pass the football.
Yes. And I mean, and if teams are going to continue to have to stack the box against the Steelers, then they have to make them pay in the passing game. You have to have a balance there. But having a team, I'll be honest with you, you might have a team that can just fling the ball around the field. You're going to struggle to be super consistent through the postseason without a running game.
Yes.
You need to have a running. So ignoring the running game because it's now a passing league is actually let's just say it gives you
cannot be one
the P word
dimensional.
again. It gives you the potential to win these types of games that you could win any game, but also it gives you the potential to lose any game.
Yeah,
it gives you a bigger variance, in my opinion.
You can't become one-dimensional because you can think, well, we're just going to throw the ball all over the field, and we're just going to be good enough that other teams can't stop us. Yeah. When you reach the playoffs, all they have to figure out how to do is to stop you for 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
And you go home.
Yes. Because bottom line is you need to have a good running game to fall back on. Bottom line is you need to have a good passing game when you're down 4 points and there's 2 minutes left on the clock. That's the way it works. That's
Yes.
you really need everything. So, and the thing is you could go with the philosophy of, hey, but with a good run game, with a good defense, just don't ever be down 4 points with 2 minutes left on the clock. That's the key. So there's a lot of different ways to play that. All right, before we take our break, I'm going to run down our list one last time. Rich, counting down 5-1, went Calvin Austin III, Joey Porter Jr., Jeremiah Moon, Keanu Benton, Pat Fairmouth. That was his list.
Yes.
My list was Darnell Washington, Calvin Austin III, Jalen Warren, Pat Fairmouth, Keanu Benton. There we go. We'll come back to this topic at the very end. Right now, we're going to take our break, our other break. We'll come back with 5 minutes of non-Steelers talk, then our big question. So stick around. We'll be right back.
Relax, don't worry, no rush, what's the hurry? Relax, don't worry, don't worry, relax. Relax, don't worry, no rush, what's the hurry? Relax, don't worry, don't worry, relax.
All right, Steelers fans, here we go. We tackled the question. Now we're into the part here at the end that I know sometimes people might be like, all right, this ain't for me. I'm done. But I got other people that are like, you can't skip the 5 minutes of non-Steelers talk, but we got to keep it the 5 minutes, and we will come back with the big question after we're done. So I'm trying to get ready here for my timer. Rich said he wanted me to take something. Hey, we're in the summertime. We're in, for some people, what is the vacation season. And I was going to do a wide vacation question for you, but instead I decided to be very specific. Okay? And that is, I'm going to ask about a very specific vacation, which probably for both of us, I don't think we've ever taken during the summer. I'm going to ask you, just overall, to share your Disney World experiences. Because I know you've been there with your family. I've been there with my family. We've never been there together, even, we were never there growing up. Tell me how your overall experiences with Disney World.
The overall experiences were, I would say they were okay. I would not call them spectacular. I would call them the first time we took the kids. I've been there 3 times. Renee and I went for a couple days on our honeymoon. Part of our honeymoon we spent at Disney World. We went
because you did the cruise too, right?
Yes, we
or
did
a
cruise and Disney World.
Yeah,
we took the kids when they were younger. We took them when they were let's see. Kyle would have been 6 and 10 in his Disney World trips. So
there you go. It's been a while.
been a little while. I will say this: different parks meant different things to us with the 2 different trips with the kids.
You see, that's what I was going to ask. Tell me about which park was your favorite was going to be because you stayed on site every time, right?
Yes.
So where was your favorite place that you stayed, and even if you only stayed at one place, and what was your favorite, and which one's your favorite park?
Okay, let's see. Favorite one we stayed at was what was it?
Pop Century?
No, the music one.
Oh, All Star Music.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Like that one, just because I liked their swimming pools the better. Honestly, that's what that came down to. In terms of the space itself, we didn't spend a lot of time there because we were running for parks.
Same here.
But the time we did spend there was really nice. I would say this. If you asked me of all the days we spent in Disney World, which day was my favorite, it would have been the second time we took the kids, and it would have been our first day, and we spent it at Animal Kingdom. And it was fantastic. We just had a great time, a great day. It was really just, it was funny because it was actually Halloween that we were there. And part of the reason we chose to go to Animal Kingdom on Halloween is we thought it would be the least crowded park on Halloween, and we were correct. And so overall, that's why I'd say that one was the best, just because of the fun day we had. And part of the reason it was so fun is because the park was not jam-packed crowded.
Yeah. Well, see, when it comes to Animal Kingdom with me, my best time at Animal Kingdom was the last trip that we made. Let's see. I went on my honeymoon to Disney World, just my wife and I. Then we went, well, 2 times in 1 school year. Our first 2 trips with the kids when they were little. It was 1, 2, I think we've gone 5 times. We would go every other year for a while. We haven't been since COVID and everything changed. And I don't think we could do Disney the way we did back then, because man, we worked we worked the what's the fast pass system, to where we would first, when they had the paper ones, then when you had them online, where it was as soon as we're going through one, we're getting another one, and we had stuff lined up so we could just go. We hardly spent any time in a room. Did like Pop Century, but our last time we were there, because we had to have a 5-person room with the 3 kids. We were at Caribbean Beach, and that one was pretty nice. We were at Caribbean Beach before, but it was much better when we were there the second time. But like I always say to people, but the last time we went to Animal Kingdom, the reason that was my best time there is it was the coolest day we had been at Animal Kingdom, because when it gets warm there with all the green plants and everything, the air gets so heavy, I find it hard to breathe. So
Gotcha.
when you're there when it's cool, but honestly, I like the Star Wars stuff, of course, that you can do, and I have not been there since they opened Star Wars World. That's one thing I would really like to do, but I just, the way things are and the way they do it now, I don't think we could have anywhere close to the same experience that we would do. And also, I'm to a point now, I'm like, when I go on a vacation, I like to relax. When I'm at Disney, I'm not relaxed. We get up way earlier than we normally get up. We leave right away. We get there, we do the whole day, and we come back with kids falling asleep on the way. So we carry them and put them into bed, and then get up early the next day to do it all over again. And we do it for 10 days. And that's our experience there. I know some people are talking here where someone said they just got back. Where was that? They said they just got back from Disney. And Henry Manuel says, wow, I just came back from Disney World last week. So I haven't been there since 2018, I think was our last trip. You've been there. It is expensive. It is, I mean, so much more now even than it was then. But we used to, when our kids were young, we're like, we're gonna save the money, spend the money on those experiences that we'll remember, and we remember them well. My youngest probably doesn't remember much because he was so young the last time we went. But
well, it's interesting because this came up just when to Renee and I talked about. I want to say it was Sunday evening, and because something came up on her Facebook or something, and we got to talking, and I think we both agreed that after COVID, so much has changed there.
Yeah,
we don't think we'll ever go back.
Yeah, I don't know that we would either. And we have friends that we've met up with in Disney World before that actually moved down there last summer, close to there, and they go all the time, and we're just like, it just, I think we could only maybe experience maybe half of what we would in years past, which to me doesn't make it worth the investment. That we can't do it in that way. But
too much money to not get the same experience.
Yes, but but honestly, if I've never been there before and I would go now, I would probably think it would be great. I just know what I've been able to do in the past is the biggest thing. So, so our 5 minutes is up. That one's fun. I know some people are like, they're not Disney. Disney World is just what's interesting is we're like, hey, I go all the time. I don't even have kids, because it's just their thing. And one of the bigger things I can say about Disney that I like a lot is that as a large person, it is very few rides that I can't do.
Yeah.
But when I didn't fit on the Pandora ride at Animal Kingdom, they gave me like so many free fast passes that I could use anywhere I wanted to because I felt so bad. But apparently that ride is amazing. And my kids had to ride it. I had to send them in without me. That's why they felt so bad. I had fast passed it, so it wasn't like it was a super long line. and they made it up for me. So, I mean, I could probably be a beanpole, and I don't think I would fit because it's just my overall size and height and everything. But that was that one. All right, we said 5 minutes. We got to stop at the 5 minutes.
Yep.
Ready for this big question?
Big question.
We've already answered it because your answer is
Yes,
Pat
we have.
Fryermuth. My answer is Keanu Benton. It is time for you all to tell me who is going to have the biggest breakout season in 2024, and for the Steelers, right? I've already got it out there. I put it in the live chat for you all to be ready. It's the name of who would be your number one on the list to have the potential breakout, to be a breakout star this year. Okay. And people were ready. They're ready to roll. Kathy's still in here. Her Afton are almost always the first one. And Kathy says she's with JPJ. They're going there. And sorry. I'll get to you, Steeler Chick 46. I just misclicked. Afton was the next one, was ready with Muth. Okay. John S. is going with Najee. And neither one of us has Najee because I went with Warren. What do you think of that one, Rich?
I could understand. I could understand how someone would think it can happen. It's just a matter of, will it happen?
I mean, he would have to, because some people are like, oh, he's overrated. He's not that good of a back. These are people that talk about fantasy-wise, because he really hasn't been. His biggest thing was his availability, lots of production through workload. What would be really nice this year is if he can really have less of a workload and continue to break out. So I can see that. Steeler Chick 46 has Keanu Benton. Thomas Riley has Nick Herbig. I thought of that one too, but because I think he will get more playing time than last year, because I think he moves up to the number 3. The question is how much playing time will he get? He could, if there's any issues with one of the two guys in front of him. I don't want that to happen. I don't want Nick Herbig to get that much playing time. But last year he sure did make a lot of splash with the few opportunities he had, didn't he, Rich?
Yes, exactly.
Yep. We got Brent Howell with Mount Washington. We got Steel Dog 88 with Keanu Benton. Thinking outside the box for the next one, I'll bring it up. Steelers Pittsburgh says Arthur Smith. He's going to be a breakout star this year. We didn't say it had to be a player.
No, we did not.
I phrased the question.
I get it.
I mean, I did in the description of the show, but yeah. Very good there. Kudos to you, Steelers Pittsburgh, for going with that one. Pittsburgh Toddy 86 says Connor Hayward. He's another one of those. Is how they gonna use him?
Yeah, that was my issue with him. I considered him, but I was just like, how's he going to be utilized? Not too many question marks there yet. Would need to see a little more.
Muth and Washington over top of him.
Right. Exactly.
Yep. Yeah. But I think with the tight ends, there's a lot that you could see there. George OTJ says Muth. TD Tom Dessenberger says Muth. Sherry Richards says, in all honesty, Nick Herbig's a strong possibility. Okay. Demetrios M says Muth. Marky D. Marky D. Steelers Nation Australia. Justin Fields. Kickoff return only. Talk about trolling. Justin Fields is going to be returning kickoffs for the Steelers next year, just like Zach Gentry was cut for reasons that we joke about. Neither of those things are true. It's just funny to mention them. So let's see. People are comment on other ones. Sherry Richards just throws another one out there. She says maybe Peyton Wilson later in the season. Notice neither one of us had a rookie on here, did we?
Yeah. No, because
I considered it, but
yeah, I considered it, but was just like, yep. No, because is it really a breakout?
I mean, it can be. Like you could have said that Joey Porter had a breakout season last year. You could say that. So, and that's why Retro River says Wilson. People are like, he's really going to be something. I think he is. I just don't think he's going to be utilized nearly as much as what fans think he's going to be utilized early. And this next one was actually one I considered that I'm going to talk about for a second. Henry Manuel says Patrick Queen. Do you know why I didn't put him in there? I think he really could. But it's really hard to say you have a breakout season when you were a Pro Bowler last year.
Yeah,
That was my thing.
Yep.
But it could be a breakout because he is in black and gold versus and not the whole, the I heard it from a Ravens fan a week ago. Oh, well, he wasn't anything until Roquan Smith showed up. Yeah, but here we go. I think John, if that was your answer, it was too long, so I didn't bring it up. Ted Jones says Jones and Benton could be great this year. It's really hard to say an offensive lineman. It really is, because most of the time, if they're having a great year, it's because you're not hearing about them.
Yeah.
Gavin Anthony says Benton. Black Jack Novak says hopefully Russ. That's pretty funny. Gavin Anthony says he would go with Joey Porter Jr., but arguably he's already here. Yeah. So that's kind of what I was saying. Valley Ford says Trice, Corey Trice. Me, that's still a long shot. I would love it if that's the case, but I'm not banking on that one at all. But boy, would it be fantastic, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Steel Dog 88 says, hey, wild card. What about Dan Moore Jr.? Wouldn't be surprised one bit. But once again, what would be a great year for Dan Moore Jr.? For people to not talk about him.
Yep.
Yeah. Steelers Fanatic 78 says JPJ24. Okay. And that's all I got right now.
Okay.
So with that said, Rich, we once again are running over again this week. But hey, make sure you're paying attention. We're going to have some adjustments to our lineup coming up. We're evaluating things and looking at things, and we're trying to look at exciting things and some other stuff going on. And so there's going to be some potential lineup changes coming. So we're just giving you the heads up. When I get more specifics, we'll be able to share about that a little bit more. Also, make sure you are, we'll have shows. There'll still be shows. It just might not always be exactly what you're expecting when you're expecting it. I will tell you this. You will have a Let's Ride tomorrow morning, Wednesday morning, as you typically will. And I'm pretty sure Steel City Insiders are on this week. It was a couple weeks ago that they were off. So you should, I can at least tell you that you have those things coming up. Also, make sure you're checking out SteelCurtainNetwork.com for all your Steelers needs. If nothing else, go back, and you don't want to have to scroll through Twitter/X to find all your Steelers stuff about OTAs. I put it all in one article that's right there for you. All right, Rich, what would you like to say here to close us out tonight?
All right. Just a couple things real quick. One, I hope Bad listens to this show at some point, because I'm about to make a statement that will bring him in. Of course, when I think of Steelers and Breakout, you've got to go back to that song. Now I forget who sang it. Now I just lost it. Breakout! Yes, that one. Find a way to break out. So, Dave, wouldn't it be nice if we could get really lucky and not just get a breakout player from our list, but several?
Let's see them all break out.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like we kind of get to think of this and be like, oh, who's the best breakout? I'd like to see several guys really break out and go, because all that would mean is good things for the Pittsburgh Steelers. OTA is traveling on minicamp next week. Then we got to take a break for a while. That's the sad part.
Not us, but the Steelers. Yep.
Yes, the Steelers take a break for a while. That's the sad part. But then it just means that it's coming. The next thing will be training camp. And we all love getting closer and closer to the Pittsburgh Steelers season. Be keeping an ear out. I'm probably going to have some tickets for sale pretty soon. So,
ooh, there you go.
Yep. So maybe next week or the week after, I'll be announcing what I'm going to have out there if anybody would be interested. So in the meantime, just stay glued to Steel Curtain Network to see what's going on Pittsburgh Steeler wise, and everybody stay safe out there. Can't wait.
Relax.